and welcome to the DEFCON Warning System Digest. I am Thomas Lonely Wolf, the director of the DEFCON Warning System. Before I start, I just want to let you know that if you hear me like coughing a little bit too much, that's because I'm just getting over COVID. It's been about 2 weeks, so I'm kind of over it, but I still have some congestion, so I'm still coughing a little bit. So if I cough too much and it annoys you, go watch another video. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about the different DEFCON levels, since there's a lot of interest in that because of the rumors of war going on in Ukraine. Everybody's kind of like looking into DEFCON, and there are other sites out there, other groups are saying, you know, we're at DEFCON 4, we're at DEFCON 2, we're at DEFCON 3, there's a bunch of DEFCON being thrown out there, a lot from people who kind of don't know what they're talking about, and it's causing a lot of confusion, especially when they look at the DEFCON warning system. So I want to explain exactly what our DEFCON levels are, what they mean, and what they mean to you. Before I begin talking about the DEFCON warning system DEFCON levels, let me clarify what the DEFCON levels mean to the military, because I'm sure people who have come to this video, they may not know that the DEFCON warning system has its own system of DEFCON levels. They're looking for, you know, what does it mean militarily? And so they kind of stumbled on this video. So let me just take a moment to go into what the military levels mean. And like I said, there are sites out there who are saying, you know, the military is at DEFCON whatever. A lot of these sites don't know what they're talking about. They're doing it for clickbait reasons. They're war porn or whatever. One of the tests to find out whether they know what they're talking about is how they address the different DEFCON levels. For example, you'll see sites out there saying, you know, we're at DEFCON 5 fade out, or we're at DEFCON double take, or the military has increased its level to roundhouse or fast paced or cock pistol. Websites who use those terms, that is a dead giveaway that they have absolutely no idea what they are talking about. There is no such thing as DEFCON double take. There's no such thing that we're at cock pistol or fade out or anything like that. Those are exercise terms. The military uses them during exercises, so there is no confusion as to whether they're doing a DEFCON level change or whether they're just doing an exercise. They don't want to be running an exercise and they say, okay, we're now going to DEFCON 1, and somebody thinks it's the real thing, or you know, God forbid, the enemy intercepts a message hearing that the United States is now at DEFCON 1. So they use these exercise terms, and a lot of people who don't really understand DEFCON, they confuse these exercise terms for the real thing. And this goes all the way back to Hollywood doesn't know any better, and you know, no person of intelligence looks to Hollywood for education.
I'm moving your alert status to Snowman.
That's why you don't look to Hollywood to understand DEFCON, because they don't know and they have no interest in knowing what facts are. So don't listen to Hollywood. And a lot of people have, but a lot of people have gleaned onto that, and they think these exercise terms are real. And so that just tells you that they're getting their information off of war games or some movie or Wikipedia. And the thing is, actually, even Wikipedia kind of gets this information right. Good for Wikipedia. But they don't. They're just doing this as, I don't know why they do this. They're not really looking into what DEFCON really means, what DEFCON really is. They're just doing it because, like I said at the beginning of this, they're doing it because they're just trying to get clicks. They're trying to get people stirred up. They're war porn or whatever. They're really jonesing for World War III for some reason. I don't know why, but whenever you see somebody talk about these exercise terms in real terms, ignore them. They just don't know what they're talking about. They're not worth your time. But the military does use DEFCON levels. There used to be like a one level for the military. It's kind of broken up now. Different branches of the military have different DEFCON levels, and even different geographical areas can have different DEFCON levels. So if you're here to learn what the military DEFCON levels are, see, there's that cough I told you about. DEFCON 5 is the lowest. It is blue, And sometimes you'll hear Hollywood talk about, DEFCON 1 being lowest and DEFCON 5 being the highest, and they get that wrong. Like I said, Hollywood does not know what it's talking about. Don't go to Hollywood for education. DEFCON 5 is the lowest state of readiness. That's just generally your normal military readiness. That is just every day. It means nothing. DEFCON 4, which is green, that's kind of a little step up. It really, like the DEFCON warning system, DEFCON 4 really doesn't mean a whole lot. It's just above normal readiness. It's just it'll go to 5 and 4, and it doesn't really mean anything. It's nothing I would worry about. Somebody goes to DEFCON 4, it'll drop down to 5. They go to DEFCON 4 all the time. It's really nothing to be worried about. DEFCON 3, yellow. Now the military is starting to take some things seriously. The Air Force is ready to mobilize in 15 minutes. They're kind of ready for they're ready for something to happen. They know the things are starting to get a little hot, and they need to be ready to go. So that's what DEFCON 3 is. Historically, been DEFCON 3, Cuban Missile Crisis, and 9/11 and things like that. DEFCON 2, red. That's where they're really ready to go. The armed forces is ready to deploy in 6 hours. That's where they think war is really coming. It's the last step to nuclear war. If they're talking to, boy, you better get your stuff together, because the military thinks war is coming, and there's a lot of hot stuff going on. Historically, the United States has probably been in DEFCON 2 like once. A lot of stuff is kept secret. The DEFCON levels are not publicly known, so anybody who tells you the military is at DEFCON whatever, they're lying to you. They don't know. DEFCON 1, white, that is that's, and in fact, it kind of means, in certain branches of the military, it means nuclear war, or we are getting ready to launch our missiles. They're getting ready to fly. So DEFCON 1, it's never happened, but that's what DEFCON levels mean for the military. The public will never know what the military DEFCON level is. So you're just your job as the public is to just watch, make yourself aware of what's going on in the world, so you can at least have a good guess as to what's going on. You don't want to be ignoring what's going on, and then suddenly you're at Kansas City and you see nice little missiles flying overhead like they did in the day after. They're at a ball game, and suddenly these Minuteman missiles are flying overhead. Well, what happened? They kind of weren't watching the news and what was going on.
What's going on?
Those are Minuteman missiles.
Like a test, sort of. Like a warning?
They're on their way to Russia. It'll take about 30 minutes to reach their target.
So do theirs, right?
That's what the military DEFCON levels mean. And again, those are the exercise terms: fade out, double house, fast pace, cock pistol. Those exercise terms mean nothing when it comes to the DEFCON levels. So again, if somebody's telling you that we're at DEFCON rounds, that tells you right there to ignore them. They don't know what they're talking about. So moving on, what do the DEFCON levels mean to the DEFCON warning system? The DEFCON warning system does not represent the alert level of military branch. We try really hard to say that. We say this all the time. It's in every one of our broadcasts and every one of our updates, and people still just don't get this, because they're just looking at DEFCON whatever. They don't read the whole message. They're just looking at the top part, the fun stuff. When it gets into all the legalese down at the bottom, nobody listens to that. We don't represent the alert level of military branches because we have people in certain government positions. We do actually kind of know what the military is doing and what level there are. We do make that as part of our internal analysis, but publicly we will never say what the military level is. That would compromise a country's security, and we would say the same thing with Russia or United Kingdom, they don't do DEFCON levels. They don't even do bikini states anymore, which I thought was really fun. Bikini status in England. I thought that was a great name. I really wish they still used it. Even though we know what a country's military alert level is, we will not publicly say that. It's not our job to compromise a country's security, even if that country happens to be, most of us are based in the United States. DEFCON Warning System originally reflected the nuclear threat against the United States. Now we reflect the nuclear threat anywhere in the world. So during the Cold War, Russia, or the Soviet Union, I should say, was the quote enemy. So during that time, even if we knew what the Soviet military alert status was, we wouldn't say what that is, because that's not our job. Our job is to warn the public how close we are to nuclear war, not to compromise some countries' security. So that's why we don't say what military alert levels are, even when we know what they are. But when it comes to our particular alert levels, what we do is we do DEFCON 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reflecting how close we are to nuclear war. And there's a lot of confusion as to what the different DEFCON levels mean. When we go to DEFCON 4, a lot of people start getting a little worried because, do I need to worry about nuclear war? Do I need to start stocking up? Do I need to get out of the cities? What does DEFCON 3 mean? What does DEFCON 2 mean? So let me explain this. We have a fact on our site that says what the different DEFCON levels are, but let me put it in less facky terms. Let me put it in as a human would, and not these little legalese things that we talk about on the website. We use our own colors. Remember earlier I said DEFCON 5 is blue, 4 is green, 3 is yellow, 2 is red, 1 is white. We don't do that. Our system is DEFCON 5 is green, 4 is blue, 3 is yellow, 2 is orange, and 1 is red. We do that for two reasons. One is that most people are used to red being really bad and green being really good. So that's why the two extremes in our DEFCON levels are red and green. Everybody knows red bad, green good.
Sure, get those shields up. Trying, sir.
That's what we use as the limiters to our DEFCON system. Another reason, probably the real reason that we do this, is because when I originally came up with the DEFCON warning system, I thought one was red and five was green. So those are the colors that I went with. Like I said in another digest, I originally came up with this idea of watching war games, and I was trying to remember how the DEFCON levels were done in war games, and that's what my memory was. Now, looking back at the old videos of war games, I was clearly wrong, but that's how it was way back in 1984. That's how I remember it. So that's how I fashioned it. So there's your bit of trivia about why the DEFCON colors are the way they are. It's because red is bad and green is good. No, the real reason is because I thought it was red and I thought it was green and I was wrong. So okay, but that's what we've used all these years, and that's what we're sticking with. So get over it. It also does differentiate us from the military. So that's another way we can get people to understand we're not the military. This doesn't reflect the military. So that's why our colors are a little bit different as well. That's another reason. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So DEFCON 5. Green, that's our normal DEFCON level. That's when nothing really is going on. That doesn't mean that there's nothing going on in the world. That doesn't mean that there's not some sort of conflict, maybe happening or is happening or anything like that. That just means we're at the furthest point from nuclear war that we can be within the context of today's world. The furthest way we could be away from nuclear war is if all the nuclear weapons were destroyed and we went back to sticks and rocks, okay? That is the furthest we can be away from nuclear war. That's never going to happen. So DEFCON 5 represents a reasonable distance from nuclear war given how our world is today with nuclear weapons, being online. They're there. They're not going away. So, we can't be at a heightened state of alert forever, because then you get alert fatigue. So DEFCON 5 just kind of represents, this is as normal as we're going to get. This is as close to peace as we're going to get with nuclear weapons being available and the world being, the pot that it is. So DEFCON 5 officially means there are no imminent nuclear threats at this time. And so notice the word imminent. Again, that goes back to, this is the world that we live in. This world has nuclear weapons and anything can happen. But as far as we can tell, there are no imminent nuclear threats. Now, what your definition of imminent is, well, that's kind of up to you to decide. As we always say, the public should make their own evaluations and not rely on the DEFCON warning system, for emergency planning. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do with the information that we present, the information that's out there. If you think, even when we're at DEFCON 5, if you think things are worse, then more power to you. Go do what you need to do to protect your family. I mean, that's what it's all about. We're just a watchman on the wall, and we're going to go out there. We're going to look at things, and we're going to make our evaluation, and we're going to do our best to give you what our thoughts are as how close we are with nuclear war. And if you think things are worse than we are, I mean, right now, we're at DEFCON 4 with what's going on in Ukraine, with Russia building up its forces and NATO starting to send military assets into the NATO areas. They're not going into Ukraine right now, but into the NATO areas. So everybody's kind of building up over there, and we're sitting at DEFCON 4. And we get a lot of people coming up to, no, it's not DEFCON 4, it's DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 2. So if you think that we're at a higher alert level, go do what you need to do. Go to the store, stock up your emergency supplies, get out of the cities, do what you need to do to protect your family. Don't rely on us to be the last word on what you need to do to protect your family. I don't want that kind of responsibility. You're responsible for you. You're responsible for your own family. You do what you need to do. We're just a barometer. Barometers can be wrong. Maybe we're sitting at DEFCON 3 and we're really at DEFCON 5. Maybe we're overreacting to something. Maybe we're at DEFCON 4 and we're really at DEFCON 2. Maybe we're underreacting to something. It's you. You do you. All we're just giving our analysis. Okay, I probably went way too far on that, but I am just trying to stress, some people take us take us seriously, but don't take us so seriously that you think we're the last word. You make your own evaluations. But that is DEFCON 5. Just normal everyday stuff. Just go about your life. Don't worry. Please, that's our evaluation. DEFCON 4 blue. That is the official. We have traditional things that we say for the different DEFCON levels. This one says there are no imminent nuclear threats at this time. However, there are events occurring in the world theater which require closer monitoring. Throughout our history, we've always used that phrase for DEFCON 4. They're traditional phrases. There's no policy on that. It's just the traditional phrase that we use. And what that means is that there's something going on in the world. We're looking at it a little bit more closely. You should be too. Don't worry about it. Go about your own business. People are always asking me, what are you doing, for DEFCON 4? And I say, I'm playing video games. I don't know what you're doing. I'm not stocking up my larder. I have a larder at home where we store our emergency supplies. We have a lot of food there. We have bath. I understand people go out and they get their supplies. They get food, but they don't get bathroom tissues. I am not living through Armageddon without bathroom tissue. I'm not using leaves. I'm not using newspaper. I'm not using corn cobs. Get bathroom tissue. Just like one-ply bathroom tissue. It's really good. I have a septic tank, so I have to use one-ply bathroom tissue. Otherwise, it kind of clogs it up. I know more information than you wanted to know, and definitely not related to DEFCON warning system. But that's kind of reason. People like bathroom tissue. There's nothing wrong with it. It's better for your septic tanks. For you people who are new to septic tanks, one-ply bathroom tissue, it dissolves really well in there, and it won't clog it up. You definitely don't want the the Charmin Ultra Soft. That will just destroy your. You people are connected to city sewers. That stuff really clogs up your pipe. because it doesn't dissolve. It uses that old growth wood. That's why it's soft, but it doesn't dissolve. So when it gets in your pipe and it clogs it up, you're just kind of boned. So especially for those of you who have septic tanks, don't use that stuff. It's nice, it feels nice, but it's really expensive too, but don't. So I got a bunch of one-ply bathroom tissue in there, and I got razors, I got chocolate, because I'm not visiting Armageddon. I'm not dealing with Armageddon without chocolate and other stuff. So anyway, I don't even remember how I got off on this larder thing. I just got off on a tangent, and now I don't even know how to get back. So, oh, that's right. DEFCON 4. I'm not building up my larder. I'm not doing anything other than normal. I normally am throwing stuff into my larder every time we go grocery shopping. We pick up a little bit, pick up another can of the long-term storage food, maybe some bathroom tissue, some razors, or something that we stick in there that lasts a long time. Just spend like every couple of weeks, throw something in there. So, but I'm not doing anything unusual, and that's DEFCON 4. To the public, I don't think you need to do anything unusual. Just watch the news a little bit more so you can be in the know, just in case things start going a little haywire. My throat's starting to go up. I haven't talked too much in the last couple of weeks because I've been sick. So I guess this shows me the limit that I can talk with this remnants of the bug in me. DEFCON 3, yellow. This is where there are no imminent nuclear threats at the time. However, events are considered fluid and can change rapidly. This is where things start to get a little hairy. This is where we're starting to see military movements. We're starting to see conflict or potential for conflict. And when militaries start, getting into it with each other, things can go bad really fast. So DEFCON 3, that's kind of a scary level. DEFCON Warning System has been DEFCON 3 a few times in the past, and it's always been because something hairy has been something hairy is going on or is about to go on. When the United States was sending bombers over to the Korean area because North Korea was starting to looking like they were getting ready to do something squirrely, and the United States was threatening them and sending bombers over, and North Korea was starting to react, and it was starting to look like a conflict was going to come out of that. So we went to DEFCON 3. A time before that, we got some radio chatter that looked like there was a conflict going on between Russian and American forces. People still talk about that. A lot of people don't believe that actually happened. We actually heard the radio transmissions. If it was an exercise, they weren't using exercise terms. So all we could do is just react to what we heard. Whether we were right or wrong, we don't know. We were never able to get any information after that. But it was our job to react to what we understood was going on at the time. So we went to DEFCON 4 or DEFCON 3 just because that was the only information that we had at the time. And there were a couple of, I think there was one or two other times we went to DEFCON 3. Before that, it was back in the 80s that we went to DEFCON 3. And but anyway, enough of the history of DEFCON 3. What it means is that things are starting to look a little uncomfortable. And that is kind of the point where, as the public, you should probably really be focusing on the news. You should be getting some supplies, emergency supplies ready, disaster supplies in case something does go wrong. As we've seen in the past, we've gone to DEFCON 3 a couple of times and we've backed away from it. So if you've gone out and you've got the supplies and we've dropped back down to 4 and 5 because nothing came of it, well, now you have these supplies that you can use for your regular groceries or whatever. It's not like stuff is going to go to waste, but at DEFCON 3 you really got to think about maybe something is going to go wrong. We don't go to DEFCON 3 just on a whim or anything like that. We really think really hard going to DEFCON 3. DEFCON 4 we're a bit more flexible on that because we can always DEFCON 4 really doesn't mean a whole lot. It just means we're watching stuff a little bit more closely, and you could say that about almost any event. So we're a little more willing to go to DEFCON 4 because it's very easy to go back to DEFCON 5. We've gone to DEFCON 4 a number of times. Historically, we kind of say about every 18 to 36 months we'll go to DEFCON 4. And the funny thing was, just a couple of weeks before Russia started moving everything to Ukraine, I had posted to the staff, it's been a while since we've been to DEFCON 4. I wonder when we're kind of overdue. And then this happened. I shouldn't have said anything. It's my fault. But DEFCON 3, we're a bit more conscious of what DEFCON 3 means. So we're a little more reluctant to move to that, because that's when things start getting a little scary. That's when the public starts getting a little nervous. So, but that's what DEFCON 3 means. It means start getting nervous. That means that something has the possibility to go wrong, and it would behoove you to start getting ready just in case. Odds are it's not. Odds are it's going to go back down, but you don't want to be in the position where something does go wrong and you weren't ready. DEFCON 2, orange. I was going to say blue. DEFCON 2, orange. But what we will say is there's the possibility of a nuclear strike. So that's when things have gone bad. That's when the militaries are getting into it, or they're just about to get into it. The DEFCON warning system always tries to stay a couple of steps ahead of what the militaries are doing, what the antagonists are doing. So we're going to try and go to DEFCON 2 before serious military clashes happen. We may see a little skirmish here before. Actually, skirmishes may be what bumps us up to 2. It depends on how serious they are. But when we're at DEFCON 2, that's when the survivalists are going to be bugging out. If you're not a survivalist, that's when you really need to be thinking about bugging out. That's when you need to be getting your supplies. That's when the panic is probably going to start hitting the stores. If it hasn't started, it's going to start pretty soon. So when we're at DEFCON 2, you really need to think about your family's safety, getting your supplies, getting out of these targeted areas, cities. Large cities, any city with 100,000 people or more is considered to be at least a tertiary target. It depends on how irritated the enemy is, how big of commitment their nuclear arsenal is. The first salvos of a nuclear war, they're not going to target cities, they can target military bases. So if you live in a military base, you get the heck out of there. Possibly some economic targets like large energy sectors, manufacturing concerns, and things like that. It's not until full nuclear commitment that you're going to start seeing the cities being wiped out. Russia does not have an anti-population philosophy, so they're not actually gunning for people. They're just gunning for the economic targets, and if people just happen to be in the way, well, too bad for you. But they're not actually going for you. The United States does have, as far as I understand, an anti-population philosophy, simply because the population is what you need to build back up a country. The United States will never actually say that, but they don't have the same aversion that Russia does. At least as far as I understand. Things may have changed since I last researched this. So obviously no country is going to say, yeah, we're going for the civilians, but they are going for the cities and things like that. And, Russia kind of knows this. That's why they have some really good civilian defense bunkers. The United States does not. I don't know why they don't. Some of the reasons because if you protect the population, then it kind of shows the enemy that you're ready to go to war. This is not Russia's philosophy. Russia's philosophy is simply protect the population, because you need the population to rebuild your country. So the United States needs to. No. I was just about to get into a political opinion, and I'm not going to. So I'm not going to recommend any kind of policy. I'm just telling you what the United States is thinking. So, but anyway, DEFCON 2. When we're at DEFCON 2, you better be getting out of the cities. You better be preparing for nuclear war. We can always step back from DEFCON 2. Who knows? Maybe cooler heads will prevail. By the time we're at DEFCON 2, probably not. But again, we're always trying to stay a couple of steps ahead of what the combatants are doing. So we could always go to DEFCON 2 and things just turn around and drop back down. I'm kind of hoping, I hope it does. I never want to see DEFCON 1, but that's us. We're always trying to stay a little bit step ahead, so it does introduce some possibility of error. But it also means that we're giving you the longest, most warning that we can give. Because when we go to DEFCON 1, red, that means that a nuclear attack is underway or is imminent. It's kind of pointless for us to tell you the nuclear missiles are flying, because by then it's too late. The coasts are already gone. The subs will have already launched their missiles, and it only takes 6 minutes for the coasts to be hit. Longer for some Russia's coast, because it's got a lot of land. The United States doesn't have land to protect its coasts. So by the time that we know that the missiles are flying, it's probably going to be, you're only going to have a couple of minutes warning before we're able to get that out there. So, like I said, we try to stay a couple of steps ahead of what the combatants are going to do. So we, at least in theory, our plan is to go to DEFCON 1 about 24 hours before the missiles launch, 24 to 48 hours. That means we're going to make a guess as to when nuclear wars is coming. And because we're not sitting in the war room of the United States or Russia or North Korea or China or Iran or whoever, they're not going to whisper in our ear, okay, at 6 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to fire off our missiles. That's not going to happen. So we have to make a guess. And again, because we're guessing, that means we can be wrong. We can say DEFCON 1, a nuclear attack is imminent, and nothing happens. By the time that DEFCON 1 comes around, the cards are kind of already on the table. It's going to look like nuclear war is coming. So we're not really going that far out on a limb to say DEFCON 1. But we're going to try and stay a step ahead or two of what the public is thinking, what the news reports are telling you, what the government is telling you, and what the combatants are getting ready for, because telling you the nuclear war is coming 6 minutes before it actually happens is useless to you. So we're going to try and give you 24 to 48 hours warning. That means, for the public, if you see DEFCON 1, you better be out of the cities. By that time, the panic will probably have already hit. The stores are going to be empty. I don't know. It depends on how quickly things go, how willing the public is willing to be able to believe that nuclear war is coming. That's kind of the reason why DEFCON Warning System exists, because the idea of nuclear war is so terrifying that nobody's going to believe it's coming until it's too late. The government sure is not going to tell you nuclear war is coming. The newspapers, well, good question, because if it bleeds, it leads. It's certainly going to make some nice clickbait articles. The government is probably going to be stamping down on that pretty hard because they don't want a panic. So whether the newspapers or the news media tells you, I don't know. The government sure as heck is not going to tell you. So what we're trying to do as a DEFCON warning system is be that watchman on the wall. We're trying to get a reputation for level-headedness, that we don't sound the alarm unnecessarily, so that when it does come time to sound the alarm, we'll be believed, and that people will take us seriously. When we say DEFCON 1, in 24 hours the missiles are going to fly, people are going to snap out of whatever delusion that they have and say, okay, this is real. I need to do something to protect my family, whether that's they're in the cities and they need to get out, or they need to build up their supplies, or build a bomb shelter or a fallout shelter, whatever it is, to save some lives. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to save some lives by getting people to recognize the threat of nuclear war. Now, when DEFCON 1 comes, if you don't have supplies, you're kind of in a bad position. Like I said, supplies may already be gone, but a shelter without supplies is not a shelter, but a tomb. So if we've just gone to DEFCON 1, you can take an enormous risk and go out there and try and get some supplies. Hopefully you've got that 24 to 48 hours advanced warning. But I would not want to be in that position. That's why you should be stocking up your supplies now rather than later. God, don't wait at DEFCON 2. Don't wait at DEFCON 1. But if you've got nothing to lose. So if it's just changed, yeah, you can take a chance. But if it's been sitting at DEFCON 1 for a few hours, several hours, I wouldn't go anywhere. By that time, it's just too late. You're probably going to get stuck out there if you do try. If you're in a city, you should probably think about just hunkering down. The roads will probably be clogged. If they're not, you're lucky. And for one, and for two, there's a lot of people who are just not admitting to themselves that nuclear war is coming. So if the roads are clear, yeah, get the heck out of Dodge. But yeah, when DEFCON 1s come, it's pretty much you're just watching the clock now. But that's what the different DEFCON levels mean for the public. DEFCON 5, don't worry about it. DEFCON 4, maybe you want to listen to the news, but otherwise just go about your daily life. Don't worry about stuff. DEFCON 3, okay, now you need to start building up those supplies. DEFCON 2, now you need to start putting in your perishable supplies. DEFCON 3, you want your long-term supplies because it'll probably drop back down. But DEFCON 2, now you want to start thinking about building up the last bits of your shelter. Now you can start getting your short-term supplies, your chocolate, your potato chips, your bread, things that have short shelf life, 30 days, few weeks. Chocolate lasts about 6 months before it goes bad. But anyway, short-term supplies. And then DEFCON 1, don't go anywhere. This is where you want to hunker down. If you don't have supplies, but that's what the different DEFCON levels mean to the public. So when we go to DEFCON 4, don't worry about it. Don't panic. Feel free to come to our community forum, DEFCONWarningsystem.com. That's where you can interact with the staff. We can tell you what's going on. Other people are there. They'll tell you what's going on. You can you can read about what's prompting these changes in DEFCON, what's coming next, and things like that. So the community forum is a great place to be, especially if you're nervous about what's going on. We got a lot of people who are nervous. They come to the forums and they say, do I need to worry about this? What do I need to do? And the community members and the DEFCON staff will get in there and will say, yeah, this is what's going on. Okay, you need to worry about this, but you don't need to worry about that. This is what's happening. So the community forum, great place to be, great place to really find out what's going on, as opposed to, again, these clickbait, war porn sites to spread the panic in order to get views and get advertising dollars. And yes, we have ads too. It's the way we pay for the site, but we can make a lot of money if we would have said we were at DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 2, but we don't do that. We're sitting at DEFCON 4 because that's where we are. That's what our analysis is. We can make a ton more money if we just got on the bandwagon, on the panic bandwagon, and said things are worse than they are, but then we wouldn't be doing our job. Our job is to give you a proper, level-headed analysis of what's going on. So if the time comes that we need to call DEFCON 2 or DEFCON 1, you'll believe us. Hopefully that day will never come. So far, so good. Knock on wood. So, okay. That's what the different DEFCON levels mean. That's what the different DEFCON levels mean to the military. I hope this has been enlightening. My name is Thomas Lonely Wolf. Thank you for joining us for the DEFCON Warning System Digest.